Please turn to section 1 of the listening practice test. Listen to the conversation between a Chinese student and a housing officer and complete the form. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. Now listen carefully.
Hey, I've heard great things about staying with families through homestays, so I'm interested in giving it a try.
Sure thing, let me gather some info. What's your name?
I'm Zhang Wei.
Can you spell your first name?
Sure, it's Zhang.
And your last name?
Xei.
Got it, Zhang Wei. And your nationality?
Chinese.
Great, can I see your passport?
Here you go.
Thanks. Your passport number is KO7415. And your age?
I'm 29.
Currently living in Wine College, room 24D, right?
Yes, that's correct.
How long are you planning to stay with the homestay?
Around 5 months, if I like it.
And what course are you taking?
I'm studying English Literature Studies for 18 weeks to improve my writing. I've finished 4 weeks already.
Ah, got it. So you've got about 16 more weeks to go, roughly 4 months in total.
Exactly, about 4 months.
Before they continue their conversation, look at questions 6 to 10. As you listen to the rest of the conversation, complete the form by filling in the numbered spaces 6 to 10.
All right. Do you have any preferences for the type of family you'd like to stay with? Like, would you prefer a family with kids or without?
Well, I like being around children, but I feel more comfortable with people closer to my age.
Got it. And do you smoke or drink?
Nope, neither.
Would it bother you if the family smoked?
Yeah, I'd prefer not to be around smoking. I'd rather stay with a family who doesn't smoke or drink.
Okay. How about pets?
Oh, I adore animals. I'm actually a veterinarian, so pets are totally fine with me. The more, the merrier.
Great. Now, any dietary preferences or restrictions?
I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't eat much meat. I really enjoy seafood, though.
And what are your hobbies?
I enjoy reading and going to the movies.
Do you play any sports?
I tried joining the handball team, but it wasn't my thing. I usually play football with my friends on weekends.
All right, let's talk logistics. Are you familiar with public transportation?
Not really, I've mostly been on campus. I've taken the bus into the city a few times, but they're always running late.
What about trains?
I prefer trains, they're much faster.
Okay, let me check our options on the computer. Could you leave this with me and come back after your class this afternoon?
Sure thing.
I'll look into it and give you the details later.
Thanks for your help.
No problem at all. See you later this afternoon. Bye.
That is the end of part 1U. Now have half a minute to check your answers. You are going to hear a talk given by a tour guide about travel called as near. First, look at questions 11 to 14. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 11 to 14.
Hey everyone! So, our agency has been organizing tours and independent travels to Asnir for over 20 years. It's a stunning destination, but let's be real, it's not always smooth sailing. That's why this tour is designed to help you deal with the bureaucratic stuff and give you more time to soak in the beauty of this amazing country. Now, let's talk about visas. Almost everyone needs one nowadays. The standard visa lasts for 120 days, but you can renew it if needed. It's important to apply in advance, I'd say at least 2 months ahead. The current fee is £25, but keep in mind it might change, so it's smart to double-check with the Eastnian embassy before sending off your forms. Oh, and if you're planning to include Asnir as part of a longer tour and want to get your visa in another country, some Asian consulates might ask for a letter from your embassy confirming your nationality. You can find a list of major embassies in the student handbook on page 16. One more thing, make sure to check if you need a multiple entry visa if you're planning to leave and re-enter Asnir during your tour.
Continues. You will have a chance to look at questions 15 to 20 as you listen. Complete the summary and answer questions 15 to 20.
Alright, let's cover some general tips. Firstly, if you're bringing more than $1,000 in cash or traveler's checks to Asnir, you've got to fill out a currency form. Seriously, don't forget this step or you might run into trouble. You need to declare all your stuff, especially pricier items like video cameras, on the tourist export form, which you can sort out beforehand. Now, when it comes to health, ESNA is getting healthier each year, but neighboring countries still keep an eye on health standards there. So, it's a good idea to carry a health certificate, specifically the BM 654. Since you're all students, there are lots of discounts available for young travelers in EASE. The Eastnian Transport Authority offers a special youth fare card, which you can grab at any railway station. Just show your international student card. You can find info on this in the handbook. Oh, and speaking of documents, bring along 12 passport photos with you. Trust me, it's not always easy to get them done in Eastnia due to all the bureaucracy. Now, about currency. Pounds won't get you far in Asnir nowadays, so we suggest yen or Australian dollars instead. US dollars can be tricky due to political issues, and credit cards aren't very reliable because of fraud. Traveler's checks are your best bet, but go for medium denominations to avoid theft or high commission charges. Lastly, the student handbook is packed with useful info, so make sure to give it a good read. That is the end of part 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
In this section, you will hear a discussion about shopping habits. First, look at questions 21 to 24. As you listen to the first parts of the discussion, answer questions 21 to 24.
Hey there. Mind if I ask you a few questions about a project I'm working on?
Sure, what's it about?
I'm looking into people's shopping habits.
All right, shoot.
First off, are you a student?
I used to be, but now I work at a bank as a cashier. I'm just visiting a friend here.
Got it. So, how often do you go shopping?
Well, I buy a lot of books, but if we're talking about regular stuff like groceries and such, I'd say about every other week.
And do you spend about the same amount each time?
Yeah, I've got a tight budget, so it's usually around £50 each trip.
What kind of shops do you prefer?
I prefer to shop in big department stores. Everything's under one roof, especially when the weather's lousy.
Makes sense. What's the hardest thing for you to find when you shop?
Definitely jeans. It's like a treasure hunt every time.
Okay, last question. Who do you usually go shopping with?
Usually by myself, but sometimes I'll grab coffee with coworkers during lunch breaks.
Thanks a bunch. You've been a big help.
No problem.
Before the next part begins, you will have a chance to look at questions 25 to 30. As you listen, answer questions 25 to 30.
Hey Dale. How did your shopping survey go?
Well, I managed to get responses from 50 people, and the results were pretty interesting.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I handed out questionnaires, and it turns out most people I interviewed said they go shopping once a week, mainly on weekends.
Got it.
For those big spenders, half of them drop around $45 a month, while 15% splurge more, averaging $75. But the rest spend much less. Even regular shoppers stick to around $20 a month.
Window shoppers?
Exactly. When I asked about favorite stores, everyone agreed, department stores all the way. Seems like that's what young folks prefer these days.
Makes sense. That's a useful stat.
I also asked about the toughest things to buy. I expected books or study materials, but nope, it's hobby-related stuff. And when it comes to sportswear, they're frustrated by the lack of options. Sweaters are easy to find, but shoes and trousers? Not so much.
Lack of variety, huh?
Yep. They feel like every store sells the same stuff, so they lose interest pretty quickly.
I can relate.
Finally, I asked who they like to shop with.
In this section, you will hear a study lecture and answer questions 31 to 40. First, look at questions 31 to 40. As you listen to the lecture, answer questions 31 to 40.
Can everyone hear me okay? Is this microphone working properly? Great. Welcome back, everyone, to the second part of our series on how to succeed in college. Yesterday, we talked about practical stuff like how to find your way around the library and computer systems. Today, we're diving into something super important for your college journey, managing your time. Back in the day, Managing time meant making super detailed schedules for every hour of the week. But let's be real, time just keeps on ticking, right? So instead of trying to control time itself, we're focusing on managing ourselves better. That means having clear goals and figuring out how to reach them in a smart way. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to chat with me after class. I've got some great books and other helpful stuff you can check out. In the past, managing time was all about sticking to a strict schedule, but now it's more about managing ourselves effectively. We need to set clear goals and work towards them in a way that makes sense for us. Most of your college work will be set around the middle of the semester, usually with a couple of big essays due at the end. You'll notice everyone's mood change around week 6, when assignment deadlines start looming. The library has noticed more and more students getting frustrated when they can't find the books they need. But it's not just random frustration. It's because people aren't managing their time and resources well. It's not that they're not smart or don't care about their classes. It's just that they haven't figured out how to plan their time effectively. So, let's take a moment to talk about setting goals. Basically, it's about deciding what you want to achieve and then making a plan to get there. Those stressed out students I mentioned earlier didn't realize how much their assignments would affect their daily lives. By spending just an hour a day on study-related stuff, you can make a big difference over the semester. Now, take a look at the planners in your info packs. These tools will help you keep track of everything you need to do, from big picture stuff to daily tasks. By setting priorities and planning things out, you'll find you have more time for fun. Now, take a look at the planners in your information kits. There's a planner for the whole term, one for each week, and one for each day. The term planner gives you an overview of everything you need to do for the term. The weekly planner helps you plan for each week, while the daily planner helps with more detailed planning. Before we continue, jot down a note in your daily planner. Think about how spending just an hour a day on certain activities next term could make a big difference in your life. For example, doing background reading or preparing a bibliography. Imagine the benefits at the end of the term. The term diary and the weekly diary are crucial. A week is the shortest time you have to plan. Now, prioritize your goals for the term and figure out how to achieve them. If you can make planning a habit like this, you'll find you actually have more time for relaxation and other enjoyable activities. Now, let's share some of the